Welcome to MINDSHOCK True Crime. This is your host, Bruce McGuire. And this is the one and only Maura series, the longest true crime series in MINDSHOCK history. Close to 100 episodes now, somewhere around those, since we started the live Q&As. So, we will be examining information not yet examined, as well as providing opportunity for some researchers to join in the chat and provide their information, some newly uncovered information, some new claims, rumors, etc. And we will be going over it all in typical MINDSHOCK fashion, with logic and reason at the forefront, unlike everywhere else out there. All those sham Maura Murray subreddits, all of the sham mainstream media coverage, pretending and hallucinating fallacious bases for all the theories on this case. Because obviously there is no actual legitimate definitive evidence that Maura Murray ever even left the UMass area. So all those claiming to be for justice for victims, if she's a victim, or solving cold cases if she's a missing person, either of her own volition or otherwise. And if it's of her own volition, then obviously as an adult, she has every right to go missing. But all of the funny business and fraud committed by law enforcement around this case is just astounding. Absolutely astounding, which makes it one of the most perplexing true crime cases ever. As always, if you want to help support the podcast, help logic and reason return to a world where it is quickly going extinct, to keep up awareness in unsolved cases, cold cases, missing persons cases, wrongful convictions, and more, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share. Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, and Patreon. You can also become a YouTube member right here on YouTube. Help support the channel that way. Questions, comments, theories, thoughts, suggestions, rebuttals, debunkings of any kind, leave them in the comment section. Unless, of course, you're with us here live, then drop them all in the live chat. That is what this is for. To give absolutely everybody a chance to chime in and discuss the case. Just be aware, if you're spamming fallacies, you will be called out on it. There's a lot of clueless goofs out there on the interwebs, particularly on Reddit, who get really triggered anytime their logical fallacies are exposed, because obviously these mental defectives, these mentally deficient defectives, for whatever reason, their narcissism is so off the charts, they can't examine their own deficiency. And they get triggered anytime logic is brought up, because logic, when you expose a logical fallacy, that's an empirically verifiable expose on the faulty argumentation. So if you want to keep things valid, aka based in reality, you can't just be spamming fallacies and building all of these houses of cards like so many personalities in this case do, and just about everybody on Reddit. All right, so... Oh, is it Valentine's Day today? 2026. Wow. Okay, welcome Adam, Flat Bob, Sarah Catherine, DEA 56. Les Xylophone. Flat Bob says, this will be my first true crime live stream. Well, Flat Bob, a fan of logic, this is definitely a good case to look at if you want to practice exercising logic. One of the reasons, now this podcast, the Maura Murray's MINDSHOCK True Crime was not born, or MINDSHOCK was not born out of true crime. I actually covered, I think we did a Halloween episode, was the first ever episode. Maybe I'll restream it as just to remind everybody so everybody can listen from the beginning, which would have been quite a few years ago now, because nobody discussed any kind of paranormal entities with logic and reason at the fore. It was always just fallacy spam by the alleged skeptics, who actually are not skeptical of any. They're only skeptical of anything that doesn't match the mainstream narrative. They're just mentally weak bootleggers. They're not actual skeptics. So, because being skeptical is the scientific position. You'd be skeptical of both sides of anything. You'd be skeptical of anything being true or untrue, because you wouldn't know if it was true or not. So you'd be skeptical of any and all claims. That is, of course, being truly based in logic. But the Maura Murray case definitely captured quite a few people's attention because it's so perplexing and the coincidence stack is a mile high. This is a case that triggers coincidence theorists like no other. Very few cases are like this. Welcome, Dragon Tracer. So is Wallaby in here? So Wallaby is probably single-handedly maintaining investigation into the Maura Murray case online, on Reddit anyway. Wallaby's uncovering so much new information. I don't know if James Renner is still actively involved. I tagged him on Twitter. I don't know if he's going to jump in tonight or not. Maybe I didn't give him enough notice because I just kind of, I should have tagged him when I first scheduled the stream yesterday. But hopefully Wallaby will join us. So I'll just do a really quick intro on the case just in case anybody is new here. And it's interesting on how the narrative evolved, but you will not find a missing persons case like this where you have an entire silent university from where the person went missing. Like practically no coverage, no interviews, no nothing. Dead silence. I did quite a few episodes on silent UMass because there's just nothing like this in any other case. So Maura Murray, as of today, has been missing for 22 years and 3 days. And it's always kind of weird, like heartbreaking on one hand, but just plain weird on the other, that when a missing person is missing longer than they weren't missing. I mean, it's disturbing as well that this could happen. So Maura Murray allegedly went missing February 9th, 2004 at 21 years of age. She was a nursing student at University of UMass Amherst, disappeared after a single, well, again, this Wikipedia is not even accurate. She may have disappeared before this crash, so it says here, disappeared after a single vehicle crash on Route 112 near Woodsville, a village in the town of Haverhill, New Hampshire. But again, the original poster, the most accurate, because she's missing from UMass. No one has provided any evidence. Now, if there's toll booth footage or gas station footage somewhere, I mean, which is very possible. I mean, this is 2004. Gas stations started getting security cameras in the 90s, in the mid to late 90s. So, obviously, some gas, not, in 2004, I don't know if every single gas station had cameras. I think I actually went over the stats. I don't think so. But, you know, some did. So it might be possible, and there's a liquor store that supposedly she stopped in to purchase alcohol, but that footage has never been released. There's a ton of funny business with the footage, which I've also gone over. I mean, there's funny business in every single aspect of this case, and that's what makes it unlike any other. See, with other cases, there's like a ton of funny business in one aspect of the case, one variable of the case. Here, it's in every single one. I mean, West Point, where she went previously transferred from, the boyfriend, possible ex-boyfriend, his entire entourage of parents and former professors, not even current professors, because the boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, Billy Rauch, he's traveling from Fort Sill, Oklahoma, over a DUI walkaway, which is what this was supposed to be, in the middle of the night, in the middle of winter, and they're just going a third of the way across the country. I mean, what other case has this going on? Just the coincidence stack a mile high in every single aspect of the case, not just one aspect. There really is no other case like this. Her father supposedly came up to help her purchase a vehicle. There's some mysterious ATM withdrawals. No vehicle ever purchased. Then there's a mysterious hit and run just several nights prior, which some allege Maura Murray's vehicle may have been involved. Then there's all the shady business at the security desk where she worked. There's the largest drug bust in UMass history at her dorm, which she may have not even been living in, with statements that don't match up anywhere. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up. Like, I've done literally hundreds of hours on this case because there's no other case like this. Nothing makes any sense no matter where you look. And this is small hamlet in the middle of nowhere, New Hampshire, where Maura's vehicle, or technically her father's vehicle, which Maura was actually taken off of the insurance of, and supposedly it was only running on a few cylinders and she knew not to drive it. It was actually towed to the UMass parking lot several weeks prior and supposedly not driven since, although since no, UMass did have security cameras in the parking lot areas and in the common areas of the dorm and university. So footage would exist of her movements, and the car may have not even been there. So it possibly might have been taken off campus earlier. These are all question marks. And obviously certain businesses around the UMass area would have also had security footage. So movements of the car on the Patrick Vassy hit and run, which, by the way, this guy's dorm room, the victim of the hit and run several nights prior, his dorm room was searched and he happened to have a gun. So who knows what else was going on there. I mean, just a coincidence stack a mile high. There is no other case like the Maura Murray case. I mean, I tried to go, there's just so much more. Just the law enforcement funny business here. There's DEA and U.S. Marshal activity that night of all nights in this small hamlet in the middle of nowhere, which, by the way, in a town's minutes report, also mentions that human trafficking is a problem. None other than Ghislaine Maxwell also has a compound in New Hampshire, not a huge distance away. Although not super close to that area either. I mean, just the coincidences everywhere you look. I mean, this is just, again, a case unlike any other. I'm trying to get the original poster, which I had up in the previous episode, but now I don't even see it right now. Let's see. I mean, here's another one nobody talks about anymore. A former New Hampshire state trooper with a troubled past says Maura Murray was murdered, buried under a suspect's house. So, James A. Conrad claims Maura was murdered, buried under a suspect's new house. State police and prosecutor know this, but lack of evidence to dig her up. And there's some family connections with some locals in the area. There's a police chief who ended up getting fired who liked to drive around drunk. I mean, again, there's just nothing like this. So James A. Conrad, who threatened to kill fellow state troopers during a series of events that occurred in 2007 when his wife was separating from a trooper himself at the time. He gave an emotional resignation at the barracks after being accused of entering his ex's home. Anyway, this guy ends up dead. Coincidentally. Right after he makes these posts. Oh, wait, this is another Conrad? Wait, hold on a second. Did I misremember something? James Conrad. This is Thomas Conrad, age 54, died as a result of multiple gunshot wounds outside his home. See, I can't even remember all these details now. I think I have a pretty good memory going over details, but how many Conrads are there? But this was brought up at one point. So James A. Conrad, I guess this guy's still alive. He worked on the Maura Murray case when he was with New Hampshire State Police Major Crime Unit. So that's the thing, too. Like, if guys are in on a cover-up and then they have, like, an emotional meltdown, they might spill the beans on things, right? Like, they wouldn't normally, but... If anybody has any questions, too, just jump right in here. Believe it or not, I mean, there's so many things in this case I haven't even gone over. So Conrad is still alive. And to my knowledge, they have not released the original 911 calls from the neighbor witnesses where the where the Saturn was found, and there's a whole bunch of funny business there. I have retired, no longer work for the state police. So that is a question you asked more specifically. Okay, he was the command. You have to realize prosecutors don't like to take chances, would rather let someone go free before losing a case in court. Huh. That person does know. Okay, so what is the relation between these two Conrads? I don't even remember. I thought it was the other Conrad who said that, then he ends up dead. Huh. So I guess this guy's still alive. John Smith, one of the only honest researchers in this case, if he was in the chat, he'd probably know those details. Or if Wallaby was here, Wallaby should know as well. Okay, Adam, you are Wallaby? Okay, so can you clear up the Conrad? So there's two different Conrads here. I mean, there's a bunch of people with the same last name in this case. Dragon Tracer asks, could she technically be living with Bigfoot? Well, if you have evidence of that, we'll discuss it. Otherwise, I haven't seen any. Welcome, Papa Pump. Scott Steiner. Are you the real Scott Steiner? Because that'd be pretty cool. Okay, Adam says Thomas Conrad was supposedly sniped outside his house because he was rumored to have been molesting children. What? That is just one of the old rumors never verified. What is his relation to the other Conrad? Let's keep things on topic in the chat today. This is not a live Q&A. This is not a general live Q&A. This is a Maura Murray Q&A. And we have a lot of stuff to go over. Adam says, I do not think they're related. I went over, I forgot which episode I went over on it, but this all over on. But what was the coincidence? What was the connection with Thomas Conrad to Maura Murray? Because there was a connection there too. I don't know if anybody... So I have a Maura Murray MINDSHOCK subreddit for logical commentators only, because the amount of trolls in this case is just astounding. But I don't know if Sheldon is on here. And I don't know what happened to Bonquist Ghost. That was a very astute researcher in the case. But we could start with Wallaby's post here. There was supposedly a birthday party February 9th, 2004. For 20 years, we have all been trying to provide information to assist in bringing justice for the Murray family. I am thinking back to when she first disappeared, Monday, February 9, 2004. There was a birthday party for a local in the Haverhill, Woodsville area. We do not know where the birthday celebrations were held. Claude Moulton said he was not in the area. His former wife and two daughters visited Claude to drop off a present for that birthday person. In my opinion, a good place to start would be who attended the celebration. There is information that the celebration could have started Monday, February 9th and lasted until Wednesday, February 11th. So there's also, I mean, there's just so many problems here. The barge in was some kind of seedy establishment, or maybe it wasn't a seedy establishment, but there was things that went on in the basement that were seedy. And supposedly Chief Williams and some of the local cops may have been involved in that as well. Now, I don't remember where this information came from, but didn't the Murray family have a relative in the area who owned a home in the area? Did you bring that information forward, Wallaby? I know I discussed it on the Reddit in the past. I don't know Ken. Is Ken a PI? Adam says Bonquist Ghost said he knew she had multiple relatives in the area. I don't remember multiple. There was one in particular. Was it a cousin or something that was supposedly well known? And I don't know about how close but I think there was one relative that was maybe kind of close to the family. And they apparently, nobody wanted to talk about that for some reason. I think there was even a name. Yeah, I don't remember talk of multiple relatives, but there was one. And for some reason, nobody ever talked about it. Other than when that was brought up. So I guess it was a Bonquist Ghost possibly that brought that up first. So I don't know what to make of that. And if they were ever talked to, like, why would they not? You know what's kind of weird though? Like, why would they not do an interview and bring awareness to the case? I mean, obviously, one of my theories, again, I have many mutually exclusive theories. I don't claim anything is true or untrue. This is, of course, MINDSHOCK, where the only thing we know for sure is that we don't know anything for sure. But one of my theories is there's some kind of stand-down order from upper agencies. Because if Maura Murray was a CI, which to the goofs that hallucinate that that's not possible, UMass not only had CIs, but also had CIs that were killed. So it's not like that same university. It's not like, even if it wasn't the same university, if there was some other university that CI killed, you would say, oh, okay, it's theoretically possible. Like, if there were never any confirmed CIs or confirmed CIs killed at any universities around that time, then you could start spamming appeal to incredulity logical fallacies. But when you literally have the same university with a track record of CIs and getting CIs killed, you have to wonder. Not only that, you have the dorm mugshot photo where Amherst PD was it was Amherst or I think it was Amherst PD. They did a sting operation in Maura Murray's dorm and even took her mugshot photo in the dorms over a 2-digit credit card charge. Nothing ever sat right with me about that whole story. How often can anybody think of another instance where a local PD department did an entire sting op on a college student over an alleged fraudulent 2-digit credit card charge over bought pizza? Now, one of the theories was this is a pass-around credit card, and then someone jealous of Maura, for whatever reason, maybe possibly having something to do with boys, possibly not, jealousy of some kind, could that person have said, oh, actually, it's not a pass-around credit card, and called the po-po? Even though the understanding among the students on that floor was that it was a pass-around credit card. So there's a lot of questions, and just the goofery that takes place, the anti-logic goofery, you know, on anybody even considering these things as if that's so outlandish. I mean, I still have yet to see anybody bring a single example of a college student getting sting-opped over a 2-digit alleged fraudulent credit card charge used to buy pizza. Not to mention there were these strange phone calls to a pizzeria after hours. So if Ann Maura worked the security desk at UMPD, she technically worked for the UMass Police Department. So there's a lot of questions here, and if someone were to be a CI, clearly she's a great candidate. Former West Point, possibly involved in something. She could have also been coerced into being a CI, even if she was innocent of certain things. So we really don't know what's going on, but it's definitely a very real, viable option that she was a CI. Now, maybe she wasn't, but to hallucinate that it's that incredulous when all of the variables practically line up, I mean, that's just the typical goofery that happens in this case. Welcome, Obese Tuna. So, yeah, everything in this case is weird. So if she was a CI, if there was some kind of corruption she exposed, possibly corrupt FBI or corrupt police officers, You know, it wouldn't be the first time they made a girl disappear. You know, I know there's a lot of bootlickers out there, but it wouldn't be the first time the Popo made someone disappear who became aware of their corruption. And of course, Whitey Bulger's brother is the chancellor of UMass, by the way. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Yes, Flat Bob. A sting up over a 2-digit pizza charge. I don't remember the exact amount. Was it 70 or 80 bucks? I don't remember. Yeah. Sarah Catherine says, oh my gosh, I didn't know about that. About what? Whitey Bulger or the sting up? Yeah, apparently he resigned from UMass after he spoke with his fugitive brother, but did not help authorities locate him. And then again, there's the largest drug bust in UMass history in Maura Murray's dorm. Not her room, but in the same dorm. Flat Bob says, geez, that in itself says so much and makes no sense at all. Don't we have real criminals to go after? Flat Bob says, I mean, they wouldn't even do a sting op on someone who does a dine and dash repeatedly. That's crazy. It's almost like she was set up and or there's other things going on behind the scenes. Like, if they suspected her of running some kind of drug op by letting people through the UMass security desk to deliver drugs into the building, let's say the person with the credit card charge somehow either she knew that and she's trying to set more up, or maybe she didn't have that piece of info, but somebody else informed Amherst PD of that. The other thing that's weird is that she was also that previous Saturday, so the hit and run is Thursday, and she supposedly had some kind of emotional breakdown on Thursday night at work as well. Some people think that's because of the hit and run, if someone took her car or whatever. And if her car was being used to deliver drugs, which, by the way, her car, a black Saturn, let's get the exact year. I believe her exact year Saturn was the most used drug courier vehicle in the country. I think it's the Drug Mule and the DEA episode in the series, if you guys want to check that out. And then, of course, even finding the Saturn in New Hampshire, independent accident reconstruction experts said that that was a staged scene. And then there was also an earlier crash reported via scanner that could have been like the real one. But again, we don't really know that. It was a 96 black Saturn, the #1 drug courier vehicle in the country. So what does everybody make of that? I mean, nothing adds up in this case, no matter which way you look. Obese Tuna says drugs and deep pan pizza sounds yummy. Who said it was deep pan? Was it Domino's? I don't know. No, I don't think it was Domino's. I think the charge was from a different place than she was calling for pizza. I don't know. But anyway, so Jessica C was, of course, a possible link from UMass to the Haverhill area. And I went over her in previous episodes as well. Did she ever, Adam, do you know if I think she actually, did she recently comment on the case or not? I think someone posted something somewhere about Jessica C. Yeah, Flat Bob, if you have an extra couple hundred hours, you can go through the Maura Murray playlist. I don't know. Or at least I guess maybe watch the A to Z episode. I mean, that's an old episode. It was one of the first 10 episodes, but that did not include a mountain of new info. So, yeah, a lot of problems here. And Adam, what did you want to go over? Did you want to go over something specific tonight? Yeah, Sarah Catherine said she didn't know about this thing up. Sarah Catherine, what was your first MINDSHOCK episode? Because you've been here for a while. I kind of forget. Was it the Maura Murray case? Walking in Fork says, glad to see the series is still alive. Well, the case is still unsolved. Case is still unsolved. Welcome, Christopher Allen. Didn't see you earlier. Obese Tuna says, no, Bruce, Deep Pan is my favorite. Oh, okay. Yes, Adam, yes. So I don't know if I could say his name, because these individuals, I don't know if they've been public. But yes, I will go over the info. That is weird. I did see that. So let's look at that. Oh, whoa. Hold on a second here. I missed something. This is kind of ominous. Because I brought up... Wow, this is really creepy. This is so creepy. So I brought up Thomas Conrad earlier without knowing. I totally missed this post by Wallaby, who just found this. Supposedly, oh my coincidence, aka, is this AC? Went to Thomas Conrad's house? So let's go over this post on topics. This is so creepy because I missed this one connecting to Conrad, but I went over Conrad earlier just kind of like because this is something nobody goes over. Wow, this is really weird. Synchronicity of sorts. Perhaps there's a weird connection here. So this guy supposedly also impersonated a police officer, of which there was no shortage of that in the area. June 8th, 2008 topics by Oh My here. Asking if he had been out to Conrad's house. Yes, I have. It was before and after the murder. I have other friends that lived on that road that have now moved out of the area. And keep in mind, the most recent Maura Murray searches actually took place on this road. Was that last year? I think it was last year. They did another search on Limekiln Road, which actually supposedly had an alcohol bottle, and was it another piece of clothing that may or may not have belonged to Maura Murray? It's weird. Super weird. Just like I have, as the criminal element in that area is still in that area, no one wants to meet up with all of them. I have met them on my terms and seen what they are, and they aren't as bad as they think they are. They are just a band of outlaws that have moved into that area and have been there for a number of years, but in 2004 they got really brave and committed a few murders, but I thought it was all drug-related and having to do with territories and such. But why they took Maura is something that still has me a bit puzzled. Can you say Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice? Why they murdered Tom has me a bit puzzled as well, because as far as I know, Tom was a small-time get-me-a-bag kind of man as far as I know, but I haven't read the police report, so I'm unsure of the facts if they are even in the report. For all I know, may know more than they do about Tom and Maura at this point. I had a meeting with the Justice Department in Concord and let people in charge know what I know. June 3rd, 2008, they seemed interested in the knowledge and facts I knew them. I have to say, State Police Trooper Hubbard is very interested in any people, as I called him 6 times and he returned my call once when he knew I would be sleeping. Some of the other detectives seem to be asleep on the case as well. There are police in Troop F that are not trustworthy, so I took my information to the Justice Department in Concord. Okay. Yeah, Troop F definitely has a history of corruption and problems. I mean, with other cases as well. Another post here. It's easy to blame Maura for everything, but with the damage to her car, I would have to say it wasn't just caused by Maura. I believe she had help from at least one person, maybe more, as who knows the area who she either knew or she upset to the point of retaliation for some reason. Floyd lives very close to the missing Maura location, and he has been talking about how he has killed more than 40 people, and he lives a few miles from there. And this is an associate of Officer Pepper, Bruce McKay. There is a covered bridge in Swiftwater and Bath and an unused one in Woodsville, just to let you know. Now, there has to be a reason why Maura was in that area, right? Because it is out of the way, well, if she was ever even there. It's out of the way for her to go to Haverhill, as I am sure it was out of her way, unless she had a friend on Lime Kiln Road, like I was told. And they went to a party or to a bar where they were separated. And then Maura met some type of criminal element or overheard or saw something she was not supposed to, and then the people she ran into abducted her, and in the process she was hurt, and there was no turning back for the criminals, so they disposed of her after keeping her in that A-frame in the closet for some time while they planted all of this. And that's another weird thing, like the true results of the A-frame, like did they ever follow up with that? Seems like it was just inconclusive. Adam, did Julie Murray make a video about AC? About Oh My? I don't think I've seen it if she did. Adam said Fred was threatened by him when trying to ask questions. Yeah, there's no shortage of shady individual, and then the Jetstar connections that we've gone over a few times. I mean, that just seems really weird too. So they kept her in the closet for some time while they planned all this. I do know that there were people calling in to report accidents, but no one was there when the police showed up until the police got to the, I'm guessing the MMM site. Is that Missing Maura? Is that the Weathered Barn Corner? Now where Maura went is still speculation on every part. I am going to keep my antennas up to see if I can learn more, but bits of data on this case keep coming in from local people, so that means people in that area genuinely do care. Okay, some do. Okay. So that's pretty weird. With the connection. So this guy also went to Tom Cotton. So what are the chances that this oh my coincidence actually is legit and all this info is legit? Another post here. This says June 22nd. Quoting, oh my, one thing bothers me, that is the Chalet Schaefer in Woodsville was burned down by a new heater that was just installed, and the person who owned that sports bar left in kind of a hurry. Wait, is that what that PI was talking about? Was that Frank Kelly? Or was there an arson? Was there another arson other than this one? Yeah, there might have been more than one. Adam, do you recall? How many arsons were there? Well, he said he was at Tom Conrad's before and after the murder. So what occasion? How many occasions did he have to go to Tom Conrad's house? I mean, that's just kind of weird. So he just happens to know this guy and visit him, who just happens to be randomly killed September 28, 2005. Multiple gunshot wounds. Adam said, no, I'm assuming you're talking about Julie Murray here. We emailed each other about it 2 years ago. She said police were interested in him. Wow. Huh. This is all just very strange. Like, what are the chances this is all mere coincidences he's making stuff up? So yeah, possibly more than one arson. Another thing that bothers me, the person that owned Gary's Fuel and Linda's One Stop started selling off everything he owned right after 2004 and left Woodsville and moved to Las Vegas before he had sold everything he owned and seemed to be in a hurry. But they didn't seem to put much of a fight when told to shut down the junkyard by the town. Just to name a few people and places that just seemed to either close up shop or move away after 2004, and they all seemed connected in one way or another. That is pretty weird. Maybe I have a vivid imagination and maybe I'm way off, but these people seem to scatter after 2004 when the pressure was put on the town of Haverhill. Yeah, I mean, they're not the only ones. I mean, we got, was it Concrete Guy? Did he join the military right after this? And he might have not been the only one either. There was like one other guy. Yeah, pretty weird. So this person, I guess, misspelled Maura or autocorrect possibly. Laura left the area due to a domestic custody dispute with Bill. She didn't own the chalet. Wait. So this is... So Laura and Bill were the owners of the chalet? Or whatever. So this isn't Maura. Steve, the owner of the building, still lives in the area. Okay. The EPA has been involved more than once for illegal dumping. I mean, is this guy making this all up? Is this information accurate about the locals, at least? Because if everything he says can be verified except the stuff with Maura, that would be interesting as well. Huh. So what would be more of a concern to you is the fact that Claude, who everybody knows has a violent, nasty side and a penchant for women half his age, wasn't the only type of person working with Danny or hanging around Jetstar who did. He had two Davids working for him, one of which has several restraining orders against him and is known for being abusive physically and mentally to women and children. He has also been deemed abusive by the court, ordered to receive treatment by a shrink and attend a batterers program. He has sexually assaulted women before. Dave took off many times to Alabama, stayed gone for months at a time. He even evaded the police who were looking for him when a missing persons report was filed for quite some time. He has conned many people, especially women. The other Dave, who was Danny's friend and employee for years, had to be let go because of the creepy things he would say and do to women. Joel, Claude's son, also spent a great deal of time at Jetstar after being released from prison for attempted murder. Also has a nasty, violent side. Right down the road from Jetstar, you have another garage. The owner of that garage sexually assaults extremely young women when he is more than twice as old as them. He frequently travels 112 and 116 and has a tow truck. What? When he was 50-something years old, he sexually assaulted and terrorized a girl barely 18 in her home. That woman had the guts to go after him. That girl fit the description of the serial rapist that has been running around that everybody's talking about. Or that girl said he fit the description. I guess that's what it's supposed to be. After going to court several times, he was convicted of sexual assault but managed to plea his charge down to simple assault. He was able to do the due to his last name and being a prominent businessman, etc. How many other predators like that are running around the North Country with no one paying attention to them? There are a lot of scary people in the Haverhill area that should be like that. I mean, it's just so mind-shocking how many shady people are in this area. If Maura was ever even up there, I mean, there's no shortage of people who could have possibly done her harm. Adam says, a local I spoke to in the area believes Oh My was referring to one of the David Aldrich's in the area. Wow. And we went over the Aldrich's, yeah, long list of crimes there. Very, very weird. Very weird. So, Wallaby ran this through AI. Red flags associated with this behavior. Insider information not known to others. When a poster claims to know unique details like a specific friend or location that no one else, including family, friends, or police, has corroborated, it is a significant red flag. This can indicate the person is fabricating a narrative, or it may be a slip of the tongue revealing information only someone involved would know. Redirecting suspicions. Perpetrators or individuals involved in crimes sometimes attempt to manipulate public opinion or divert police attention by actively framing or implicating others on social media. Proximity and specificity. The fact that the poster lived on the exact road in question during the disappearance means they had the opportunity to be involved or have witnessed events firsthand, placing them in a key position for an investigation. Well, and Lime Kiln was not the exact road, but close by. Persistent targeting, continually focusing on a specific local people suggests a potential campaign to manage a narrative rather than neutrally seeking information. Huh. This is pretty weird. Wallaby also found this news article regarding the red truck, and nobody wants to talk about how they were stopping red trucks all night, allegedly, which is pretty weird behavior for the Popo. License plate. So is this February 7th, the date here? License plate missing. Woman hit by paintball. The Concord Police Department seeking public assistance identifying the individuals responsible for a series of license plate thefts and the shooting of a pedestrian with a paintball. Sometime overnight last Friday. Stolen. Okay. A different theft occurred January 27th. Previous few nights. January 29th, a woman walking the area of Auburn and Pennacook Streets was struck by a paintball fired at her from a passing vehicle. The suspect vehicle is described as a late model, faded red compact pickup truck with wooden slats covering the bed of the truck. That's weird because that matches the red truck seen in the area. Okay. So this is crazy. So this is precedent. So if there's a bunch of troublemakers driving around in a red truck with wooden slats, would they take advantage of a young... I mean, this might not be... I mean, this is weird. This is... there's a history... If this is the same red truck with wooden slats, there's a history of terrorizing crime here with these individuals. Adam says there's like 3D Aldridges with criminal records in that area. How wild is that? Adam says, if she did end up in that North Haverhill area in 2004, alone, vulnerable, she would have been a target for sexual predators. There were a lot in that small area in 2004, and also police impersonators. I mean, that's crazy. I did a whole episode on police impersonators, all coincidentally, all in that same area. I mean, this is just crazy. There is no other case like this. Another post from Wallaby. Claude Moulton's work associate named Vincent. He's in his late 40s. He worked in Boston, Massachusetts with the Department of Veteran Affairs and has a veteran medical library in Boston in 2001. But also worked as a pipe fitter and for a mechanical company. He was also stationed in the military in North Carolina at one point. He had addresses in Bradford, Vermont, on Wild Emmanoossack Road, which he moved into in 2003. He has another address at French Pond Road, where he lived in 2001. All of these are interesting locations, especially since the last two are so close to where Maura's Saturn was found. One of the most interesting things about this guy is some of his work associates in the past. Connected to missing women? What? Stephanie Casavero and Jean... Okay, what? Jean Casavero, Bernice Cordemanche were both missing women in the New Hampshire area. I am trying to see if there's a relation to these co-workers of this guy. Maybe somebody else can help me figure that out. Information from AI was interesting when asked about a pipe fitter possibly using a rag in the tailpipe. A pipe fitter or mechanic might put a rag in a tailpipe to check for exhaust leaks, as the restriction causes back pressure that forces air out of any compromised joints. It is also used to temporarily suppress heavy smoke from a poorly tuned engine or to intentionally stall an engine. Interesting. Preventing contamination during maintenance or on heavy equipment. A rag may be used to prevent dirt, water, or debris from entering the exhaust pipe. See, and this is the thing, like a lot of these coincidence theorist goofs that hallucinate that Fred could only have said that he told Maura to put it in there to avoid the cops because it was the truth. Like, as if he would never say that to cover for her. Because if the insinuation is she was somehow trying to commit suicide, even though that's not how it would work, he's just trying to offset that or downplay that. Or if it's that common for people to do that, then obviously somebody else could have done that also, if it was smoking. So not necessarily Maura. Or, and even if Maura did do that, she could have done that way earlier. That doesn't mean she got to the location. Because a lot of goofs hallucinate that that's evidence of her being at the car at the weathered barn corner, as if she couldn't have put it in the tailpipe earlier, or even in the parking lot of UMass. We don't know. Or obviously somebody else could have done it. Or again, if somebody knew that that's what Maura would do, or had previously traveled with her when she had done that, or mentioned doing it, they could have done that to make it look like Maura did that. But again, coincidence there's goofs, like they just don't have the mental capacity to understand basic logic and reason. Welcome, Pinto Sack. Adam says, oh my, was also arrested for police impersonation at the Walmart in Woodsville. It was a newspaper article. Yeah, I mean, there's no shortage of police impersonation. Apparently, he wasn't the only one either, right? There were one or two other guys. And other reports of unidentified guys. Adam says, Bruce, remember how Lavoie had Fred take the rag out himself? Another weird thing. Not to mention wanting to give the car back, and then when John Smith said he would take it, all of a sudden the police need to keep the car. I mean, just none of this makes any sense. It's all real weird. Really, really weird. All right, so the main thing Adam wanted to discuss. Am I not seeing the post? I don't think I'm seeing the post, Adam. On. Wait a second. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, I see it now. So, an individual said they met a woman from St. Johnsbury, got acquainted with over the past couple years. She recently deceased January 30th, 2026. Cause of death was suicide by hanging. It does not feel right to me or other people who knew her. Searching more info. Her place of death was Lime Kiln Road. Her boyfriend was KC. So supposedly this. So KC. Oh, I missed your post also, Adam. Jessica C. said was arrested not too long ago. She never commented on the case recently. She made one comment to Fred early on. What was the comment to Fred early on? I'm not recalling that. So is this KC AC's son? Is this Omai's son? Is that the connection there? So the guy that made all his posts, his son's girlfriend committed suicide. So supposedly AC died in 2013. And supposedly he threatened Fred when Fred tried to talk to him. I still think like some of those old rumors were kind of weird at Loon Mountain. You remember those, Adam? And how the G brothers or the Loon Mountain 3, if they weren't the Loon Mountain 3, so are these the Joyriders from these red truck Joyriders who paintball people? What was the connection to the Loon Mountain 3? Because there was that worker, I think it was a female worker at Loon Mountain who said something weird, right? About, was it the G Brothers or the Loon Mountain 3, whatever. I always thought the potential connection to Loon Mountain was kind of weird. I mean, everything in this case is kind of weird. Then, of course, Foreseer, also weird. I mean, yeah, I mean, is there anything in this case that's not weird? I mean, just the amount of connection. I mean, no wonder it's hundreds of hours. I mean, just there's just so much here. Nothing adds up anywhere. Like, how could there be this many rumors? Every single one of them is false and has no basis at all. That's just kind of weird. Or are a lot of them true or partial truth? Loon Mountain about 20 miles from the weathered barn corner. Some people think also that whimpering phone call could have potentially been made from like a campground or something along the way here. Lot of questions. Lot of questions. Pinto Sack says, sorry if I missed it, but has anything come up with the guy who left the CD in her car, the dog killer guy? I don't think there's any new information since we went over him last time. What a scumbag. Sarah Catherine says this case is so sad indeed. Yeah. I mean, again, I think something happened at West Point. Again, call me crazy. Call it intuition, whatever. It seems like Maura Murray was a genuinely happy person until West Point. And Clark Rice is not in here, but he had a sighting of Maura Murray years after. Something he said that there was YouTube's gonna have a field day with some of these words, but RAPE club at West Point, and Maura may have potentially been involved, not necessarily a victim, and Julie Murray and Bill Rausch may have been involved, not necessarily victims. And just like, whatever, there were scores and points and all this weird stuff, and McDonald might have been involved, the professor. And again, the night of the Thursday night breakdown, also coincidentally when Donald Rumsfeld announced some kind of West Point scandal for covering up sexual assaults. We do not know who was involved. If Maura, Bill, Julie, McDonald were all involved, what does that mean? Why did she really leave West Point? But she just doesn't seem... She seemed like all her smiles seem different since West Point. Not that they're not partially genuine, but she just seems a lot different after West Point. And it seems like something happened at West Point, and it possibly followed her to UMass. Adam says, yeah, the Loon Mountain rumor still comes up, but everyone says the Loon Mountain 3 are different people. I've heard so many different claims of who the 3 are. Yeah, there's 2 different sets of brothers. One of them is the G brothers. And then I think, and then there's another group of people. So yeah. What? John and Fred were supposedly at a bar, and Jessica C. stated that her ex had something to do with Maura going missing. Her ex was C. Aldrich, or one of the C. Aldriches. Wow. Why do I not remember that? That seems like that should possibly be the number 1 point at this time. Huh. Adam says, we checked out the girl's Facebook, who apparently was found dead by hanging. One of the photos at the top of her page before she died was a post of a shirt saying, quote, it's only murder if they find the body. Otherwise, it's just another missing persons case. Wow. Wow. Pinto Sack says, I still think Sarah Alfieri is holding back information, whether she likes it or not. She's part of this case and has chosen to go silent outside of a couple small statements. So frustrating. Yeah, and I pointed this out before. People silent on the case, maybe they have other criminal stuff going on, which is why they don't want to comment on this case. They just don't want to comment because they have other criminal stuff going on. Not necessarily that they're directly involved in the Maura Murray case. Adam says it was in John Smith's old blog. Not sure what happened to his blog, referring to the Jessica C stuff. Has Fred ever commented on that? And what is Fred? Has Fred made any recent comments lately? He used to be a lot more involved. I guess kind of Julie Murray's doing all the work now, but yeah, pretty weird. And let's not forget Bill Rausch. Didn't he have an ex a previous girlfriend who died mysteriously as well? I don't remember. Bill Rausch's history is just shrouded in shadiness as well. I mean, everywhere you turn in this case, it's just nothing but shadiness, shady people, unverified everything. Like, there's practically nothing verified in this case. I mean, yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. I also still think Kate Markopoulos possibly has not. She did that interview with Aaron Larkin, which is another the gorilla ontologist weirdo, potentially placing herself near the accident scene on that same road the same night. I mean, weird. I mean, there's just no shortage of weirdos. Also on the track team, also having Maura Murray's exact same job. Weird. Weird. Adam says, Bruce, wouldn't that be crazy if Oh My's son was involved and he was the one who had been typing all that stuff as Oh My? Well, wouldn't he have been too young at that time, though? Because this was back in 2008, right? I mean, he would have been too young, right? And he potentially wouldn't have known all that stuff. How old is he now? And it really did seem like a lot of those rambling posts, it really did seem like he was possibly drunk or, mental health issues or both. And he was kind of being really loose with his lips, per se. But even the writing style didn't really seem like somebody coherently writing. Adam says, hence why the posters sound so different in the posts. Well, I kind of chalk that up to maybe sometimes he's drunk and sometimes he's not. Pinto Sack says, Bruce, I made it through your entire Maura Murray playlist a year ago or so. Wow. That is impressive. Adam says he is Maura's exact age. Really? He was 20. His son was 21 back then? Huh. Okay, then. For some reason, I was... Yeah, I don't know. For some reason... For some reason, I assumed this woman was younger. Did I not see an age? How young is... Oh, maybe she is younger. How old is this woman who was found allegedly hanging by suicide? Is there an age for her? I don't know. I was reading really fast, so... And I got multiple posts up at the same time. For some reason, I thought she was pretty young. But even if she is, I guess that wouldn't... Yeah, doesn't mean her boyfriend, ex-boyfriend was. Okay, then, I guess if his age, if the age is exact, then yes, maybe, I suppose it's possible he could have been making the non-drunk sounding posts. Huh. Alright, anybody else have any thoughts? Do we think this is gonna get solved? I mean, yeah, so he was in college when Maura Murray was in college, so yeah. Okay. That would, I would assume investigators would be very interested in that. Sarah Catherine says, I'm not sure. The thing with this case is there's so much data. There's so much data in this case. So Claude's brother's the one that gave Fred this bloody butcher. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, right? I mean, look at how many points of reference we're going over. Like, if you made this a TV series, nobody would believe it. It would just be too unbelievable that there's this many shady people doing this many shady things. Claude Moulton's brother, was it the one, this was the dying brother that gave Fred the knife that he said was used to murder, the bloody knife? Yeah, Adam, I went over Maura's alleged MySpace page if it was the one you posted. I went over on that on the True Crime Live Q&A recently when we touched upon Maura's case. Unless there's another one since then. Adam says, we can't figure out anything about it, but definitely weird considering the person had New Hampshire and Massachusetts friends. I mean, is it that weird, though? I would think a lot of people in New Hampshire, Massachusetts have friends. I mean, it's the bordering state. I don't know if that's that weird. And a lot of people that go to UMass are from New Hampshire, so... I mean, definitely, like, you know, Jessica C. connections were crazy. We went over that. Adam says, sorry, their MySpace friend, the only female, had Massachusetts and New Hampshire friends. So, Adam says there's a new one they just found. Okay, wow. This MySpace page looked like it may have been made in a hurry to communicate with someone. It's Maura Murray, but no photo and only one friend, a female who has friends in New Hampshire. Oh, okay, I gotcha. So, okay. It's not Jessica C. And who is the... is this the other track? Is this the other track... The other woman, the other young woman on the track team who Maura may have been staying with at the other address, not on site at her dorm, like with the party house, which also has a lot of weird issues. Yeah, we went over that as well. I think I went over that on one of the first Maura live Q&As. So he cross-posted it. Oh, well, if it was a week ago... Okay, no, that wasn't the other one. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, I see it. I see it. Someone named Sandra. If this was Maura, she made the page quickly to check something discreetly on MySpace, or she made it because she had to send a message to someone discreetly on MySpace. Okay. Yeah, that is pretty weird. Alright, I actually gotta wrap this one up tonight, so if anybody, any final points anybody wants to go over... But yeah, definitely something with the MySpace communication could be a huge factor. Did Julie mention that if they ever recovered the AOL messages? I think she said she did, but was it... I don't remember the exact... Was something lost or not fully recovered? I don't remember the exact circumstances of the recovery. I think they found a few people she might have been communicating with on AOL. But if I remember correctly, there was some kind of an issue with the recovery on that, right? There was some kind of an issue. But yeah, I think there's enough information here that this will be solved. But if there's some kind of a stand down order, unless that order is lifted or something else is somehow FOIA'd, something that people don't think is connected to this, so they don't know to FOIA it because there's no official connection to this case. Adam says, thanks, Bruce. There's always so much to cover. Yeah, I remember hearing they actually had a few of the messages that went to Maura when her away message was up. Yeah, for some, I don't remember the exact circumstances, but I was thinking they didn't have a full recovery, or there might have been another computer. Like, if she was staying with somebody, was it the Phillip Street? Is that the name of that street? The Phillip Street address, where she knew somebody, and that other person on the track team and the track team's friends, the other people on the track team, if they may have had a connection to Jessica C. I think that's what it was, right? Adam says, I think it was said in one of the media pressure episodes. Yeah, if she was using a different computer, possibly someone else's instant messenger as well. Does anybody remember that back in the day, that people would always, if you were hanging out at your friend's house, you would be using their instant messenger? And I'm pretty sure the police did not get everybody's AOL history from all of the circle of people associated. Although if they did, it would be interesting. Dragon Tracer, yeah, some of the lives were taken down at copyright. They should be back up at some point. So, yeah, it could be, sometimes it's quick, sometimes it's longer. But yeah, I don't know if they were considering if she was staying elsewhere and not in her dorm room. Because again, if she was scared of somebody, or what was that? Was there another individual that Bill Rausch possibly had keeping tabs on her in UMass? She may have not wanted to stay at her dorm. Yeah, Adam said, I can't remember. Marissa C. was the girl believed to have been her roommate from someone else. Never really heard much else about that. Yeah, there was some information that she might have been staying at the Phillip Street address in those last couple days or weeks if she was that scared of something. Pinto Sack says, yeah, that happened all the time. Leave your computer open for anyone to use. Yeah. So, plenty more to go over. We'll definitely be doing more of these, especially as more information comes up. But for some, I don't know. There's just too much information exists in this case. Like, if you look at other cases, some cases, there's almost no information at all. Here you have mountains and mountains and mountains of info, so one would think this could get solved. There's some major roadblocks. Possibly roadblocks people don't even know about yet. But once they're figured out, which may only be a matter of time, especially with highly advancing AI. When I did the AI analysis, it seemed to really think Aaron Larkin knows what happens. What happened in this case. So make of that what you will. Adam says, this was one of the numbers who called her Saturday before she disappeared. Renner could never trace it to anyone, but we finally figured it out in about 2021. Flat Bob says roadblocks means gatekeepers. Yeah, in a way. Like, for example, if there's a stand-down order, there was this, wasn't there that one, was it a sheriff or whoever, or a PI, a former sheriff PI from Maine who was looking into this case, and then he just immediately dropped it. It's almost like he became aware of some kind of upper agency stand-down order. I think that was in the main episode I did, so check that out. So, well, yeah, cover-up. Yeah, possibly some kind of cover-up as well. So it's almost like whatever Maura was into, it intersected with possibly another case that had nothing to do with her. But if she was either a casualty or whatever happened to her, if it compromised the other case being public, then there could potentially have been a stand-down order from an upper agency. That's the only thing I could think of that explains the weirdness here. Because the FBI did go to UMass early on as well and found out whatever they found out. And then just the silence at UMass since, it's almost like they have a stand-down order too. Like, it's almost like the FBI or whatever agency spoke to all these individuals and told them not to say anything. And there's a stand-down order just across the board. But the first time I really started thinking that could be a real possibility was that just random former sheriff PI from Maine that was looking into the case, possibly with Frank Kelly maybe and John Healy, I don't remember. And then all of a sudden, after however many weeks or months, he just dropped it. And just, that was it. I mean, why would that happen? Adam says, we know Jeff Williams was shady, probably knew many of these locals if they were ever involved. I mean, they definitely, yeah, they definitely had other operations going on. And so, even if it wasn't having anything to do with Murray, there was definitely, they obviously wanted to keep all that stuff under wraps. But there's just so many things that don't add up, like John Monahan's presence initially completely denied at the scene. And then one of his co-workers mentioned that John said he was first on the scene, even before Cecil. And again, Cecil supposedly committing suicide with 2 handguns. So, yeah, none of it adds up, but when that one main PI just randomly dropped it, I don't know why, but that connected a lot of the variables for me, where it's just, it seems like it's very possible there was upper agency stand-down order. And then again, there was a DEA vehicle in the area. There was DEA activity, undercover DEA activity in the area, and then U.S. Marshal activity, which I went over on previous episodes as well. Like, what are the chances? So it's almost like if Maura was a CI, or even if she wasn't, whoever was with her, if that was some kind of undercover FBI or DEA agent, there was some kind of intersection, or if they were dirty and Maura found out about it, then she became a liability. And there were people who were just kind of protecting the perpetrators at the top. Yeah, Adam says, remember when John Smith said that he was told by police off the bat when he was going to get involved to stay out of the case? Can't remember if it was state or local. Yeah, I don't remember if it was state or local either, but yeah, no, I remember that. Yeah, there's something weird. There's something weird going on here from all different angles. But we'll continue to examine it, and as there's more things to discuss, we'll keep discussing them. But yeah, I think at a certain point, something's gonna get figured out here. Hopefully sooner rather than later. But thanks again, everybody, for joining us. Catch you guys next time.